Today's rum tasting, I wanted to drop the budget. I've done a few of expensive ones or £50-ish ones in the last few weeks. I wanted to come right down the other way and sort of hit the 20s. So I'm doing Rum Bar Gold, Jamaican rum from the Worthy Park estate. Where's Worthy Park? It's kind of behind me here, and there's a couple. I'm going to do a couple of comparisons here as well for you. So it's Worthy Park estate. That's their they're cheaper. So we've got the Rum Bar White, we've got the Rum Bar Overproof. Worthy Park have been around a long time. They've only really been releasing rums in their own right in the last decade or so. I forget the actual year, but they've been doing a lot of basically distilling for other people, selling it to E&A share and all that sort of stuff. But they have obviously got a very big heritage, very long heritage of distilling rum. Now this is at the time of shooting £23 from Master of Malt. It is well, so, and the other thing I found out about this, I don't know whether this is true or not because I can't actually see it anyway. Anyway, official is this is actually a 4-year-old rum, which completely passed me by. I just thought it was sort of lightly aged, like a 1-year-old in sort of oak barrels, whatever they kind of used. So to see it listed, and that was on Rum X, where I kind of got that from. To see it listed as a 4-year-old, that kind of intrigued me there. And it's obviously been Jamaican, English style, and it is sort of molasses. That's kind of there. So it would be kind of this actually might be a mixture of a blend of pot and column, but I'm assuming it's mainly pot still in there, if any column still at all. So on the old nostrils, for 24 quid, you know, you might be thinking, you know, I'm going to spend a little bit more money on sipping rums or anything like that. These videos, I'm coming purely at sort of the sipping rum angle, but I will give you the nod to cocktails and drinks and long mixed drinks and whether this works. So on the old nostrils, it's just a fascinating thing with this rum because I think for the price point, the aroma is that stereotypical. We had a chat about this in my Discord, probably time shooting now a couple of weeks ago, but what do we class as Jamaican rum? Do we go down the route of Appleton being like one of the biggest brands on the planet, and that is a stereotypical Jamaican rum? You know, Joy Spencer's certainly going to argue that, but I wouldn't call it funky. Is Jamaican rum by default, is it funky? Because you know it from the Hamdens, from the Long Ponds, from the Clarendons, from some of the Worthy Park there, from Smith and Cross. We automatically associate Jamaica with funk. But Appleton sells by far and away more rum, so our Appleton, that stereotypical style, which is not funky. However, what I do associate with Appleton is kind of a light sort of banana-y, tropical fruit. It just hasn't got the high esters. It's got a bit of esters, a bit of funk, maybe a bit of nod to dunder in it. I know they don't use dunder, but that sort of vibe to it. But I wouldn't call it a funky rum. This is very interesting because, again, I wouldn't call this a funky rum, but I think for the entry point, I think it kind of is. I've done this in a few cocktail tests now, where it really does allow those sort of banana, tropical fruit, Jamaican vibes to really shine through. Now, is there anything else on the nose that I pick up? When I really hold it there and really take long, deep breaths, that is that sort of solventy nail polish vibe that comes off that you kind of would associate with either a younger rum, or a lot of people do kind of bring that into Jamaican. But I also do get nods to other fruits in there. Yes, the bananas there, the sort of what do you call it? Like the green banana sort of vibes. The unripe bananas. That's the word I'm looking for. I do get a nod to that. I do get a nod to pineapple, but I also get. I kind of want to say sort of an appley vibe, not an apple that I'm starting to pick up from an agricoles, but kind of like a. More of a roasted, what's the word I'm looking for? Stewed fruit, stewed apple, sort of that kind of vibe. But when you dig your nose in, it is that sort of, I'm just going to call it nail polish. It is that nail polish vibe that comes off. I do kind of get a nod of almond, amaretto, di Serrano. That's kind of what I get there, but only a very, very slight sort of amaretto-y vibes on there. But it smells to me that it's going to be at this sort of level, at what you'd expect for this. And I'm not talking Hamdens at 60, 70, 80 pound. I'm not talking Long Ponds that are 80, 90, 100 pound. I'm talking at this level at 20, 25, 30 pound rum. I'm thinking that's going to be this level of funk. So on the taste, coming from not the biggest Jamaican fanboy, I like Appleton. I'm not really a huge fan of Hamden, of Long Pond, of Clarendon, or any of those others. Appleton would be my kind of go-to. I'm not even the hugest fan of what I'd showed you, the Worthy Park, to be fair. It's decent. This, I really like. And to coin that phrase that Ian Burrell started, and I'm just going to run with it, and loads of issues, it is a session rum. I would quite happily sip that neat all day long, maybe even an ice cube in there. I don't need an ice cube, but maybe even an ice cube. That for me is a really lovely sipping rum. It isn't refined as a £50 rum. It isn't refined as a 60, 70, 80 pound rum. But for me, I enjoy sipping that neat more than I ever would do Havana 7-year-old or stuff like that. Havana 7-year-old, you know, a lot of you that follow me will know it's not one of my favourite rums. In fact, it's probably one of my least favourite rums. But when you compare in price for price, I would pick this all day, and I'm not even a Jamaican fanboy. This is lovely to sip neat. Now, I would kind of guess that you would spend a little bit more on your neat sipping rums. So yes, this is going to become more of a mixer rum. But do you know what? I know I've done this. Rum and Diet Pepsi with this is lovely. Rum and ginger ale with this is lovely. You've seen the cocktail tests that I've done on the extra channel and before that on my main channel, where this featured quite well. You know, it just gives that little sort of funky edge, funky tone to a cocktail. It is really delicious. What do I pick up? I pick up the banana. I pick up the pineapple. I pick up other kind of more dried tropical fruits, not the raisin sultanas, more that if you've got that bag of dried tropical fruit, that's the sort of vibes that I pick up of this. We know this is undosed. There's no sugar added to this. Well, I'm pretty damn sure. And in fact, I'm 99% sure there's no sugar added to this. But there's this kind of creamy, buttery mouthfeel to it. And that's the difference between, if you watched last week's where I talked about the Santa Teresa, that's for me what it lacks. It hasn't got that creamy kind of mouthfeel. It's rough around the edges, whereas this is like perfectly rounded for me. That does actually make it more of a sipping rum for me. Not that I'd ever encourage binge drinking, but the point I'm trying to make is I could have 2, 3, 4 glasses of this, absolutely no problem. The Santa Teresa last week, I would struggle to do one, and that may be something to do with the. I mean, it is. For the true rum fan, this is quite a thin rum. There is no viscosity, there's no unctuousness to it. But sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you just want a lovely light rum. And that kind of sticks to my inherent thing. And I wanted to get away from it. I keep saying it, that Spanish column style rum. You know, I do love the lightness from that. And I think that's why I like this quite a lot. There is a slight woody vibe to this. There is... you know, if I've not spoken about it, there's a slight woody vibe to it. There is banana up front. That's kind of what I'm getting off there. There is a little bit more of tropical fruit. There's vanilla on there. I kind of lose that solvent-y nail polish vibe to it. There is something else going on. I haven't quite picked it yet. But for what we deem as Jamaican rum, rightly or wrongly, with funk or low funk or banana or not, I think this really does fit the mould. I really do. Now, the other 2 rums that are going to fit in this category, which you're going to consider buying in place of, or buying this in replace of those, I won't get down. Smith and Cross is there, and we've got the Plantation Zymaca, which is there. You know, this is, you know, that's kind of there. We've got, this is the Smith and Cross, I know, because I've got more in it. The Smith and Cross is mainly due to the higher ABV. There's a lot more going on to it. The Smith and Cross is not a rum that I would sip neat. the Smith & Cross works wonders in cocktails. It is the spicy banana vibe on it. It is banana amplified simply because of the ABV. It's more body to it, again, simply because of the ABV. But when you're looking at the price, and I haven't even looked at the price for this video, you know, I pretty much assuming you're paying another at least 12 in the UK, 12, 14, 15 pounds for the Smith & Cross. Compared to that, I think that's a bargain. At that price, I do think that's an absolute bargain. I think the Smith & Cross is very, very good at cocktails. Again, it's a rum that I didn't love that much, but when I came to use it in cocktails, I understood it and thought, that's why you have Smith & Cross. So for me, Smith & Cross is more of that cocktail rum, where I think that is kind of more of your all-rounder. You know, it plays a role in cocktails, but it's a great kind of entry rum and coke, rum and ginger, mixer, rum, drink, sip neat. So how does Zymaca, Plantation Zymaca, fit into this equation? Zymaca is, I think it's 43% ABV. I forget what it is now. Yeah, 43% ABV. So it kind of sits in between. It's a 40, that's a 57. Price, I think that's even more expensive. I think you're talking roughly £35 a bottle in the UK for that. And this is this one for me. I love Plantation as a brand. I really, really do. I've said it before. I think the Zymaca is the weak link in their bottom two ranges. So in their signature range and their bartender range. I really do think that Zymaca is the weak link, because it doesn't really do what I want it to do. On the nose, I do get the sort of Jamaican vibes on there. It does come through in cocktails. It's not a rum that I would mix with, because I have got better mixing rums. It comes out to play a little bit in cocktails, and for me, it's just not coming through as a sipping rum, because if I wanted that at that price point, I would sort of default to Appleton 8-year-old. So in this whole grand scheme of things, there's no denying it's a lovely rum. I just, hand on heart, I'm a Plantation fanboy. I just prefer Rum Bar. I do over those. And I think I would have Smith. I've come round to it. I think I would always have Smith & Cross, but it's purely for cocktails. It's purely 15, maybe 22.5 ml in a cocktail. It's that kind of thing. Whereas this, I think you can have a lot of fun with that as your rum and coke and your rum and gingers and your rum and Stratford sodas. You know, this sort of stuff. If you've got a party coming up and you're inviting friends around and you want something, and they're used to your Bacardi, they're used to your Bumbu, they're used to that. I don't think this is too far off the beaten track to kind of create a talking point and start mixing this up with different mixers. And even like pineapple juice, a pineapple mixer, because that will go hand in hand with a Jamaican rum. I think that is a real conversation starter, because I really do think that is the best value for money entry to Jamaican rum that you can get. I still stand by Appleton 8-year-old as a cracking all-rounder, but it cannot compete with that at price. And if you're talking 23, maybe even cheaper on Amazon, £23, that is epic value for money.